And Scripps News reporter Patrick Terpstra reports from Washington. He joins us now. Patrick, we're learning about new restrictions going into effect today. What can you tell us?
Well, these are just the latest impacts, Andrew, on the national airspace, specifically today targeting private jets, private air travel. FAA ordering essentially eliminating private flights for 12 of the biggest airports all over the country. We're talking about JFK in New York, Chicago O'Hare, and notably here in Washington, D.C., DCA, Washington Reagan National Airport, an airport used by some lawmakers who fly private, as well as lobbyists, a lot of powerful people here in Washington, that if they want to fly a private plane, they're not going to be able to do so, at least not until after 7 p.m. I was just taking a look at the FAA's notice to airmen, notices that they put out to pilots, and those that are in effect for private flights are until 7 p.m., but that time could change at any point. But for most travelers who are, of course, flying commercial airlines, they are also contending with cancellations across the board, particularly yesterday, Sunday. A lot of problems at some of the nation's biggest airports, with 3,000 flights being canceled and not spread out evenly across the board. Even as we talk about 40 airports being impacted, some of those airports affected more than others. Atlanta Hartsfield Airport, for example, shouldering 18% of the cuts. 223 flights canceled in Atlanta alone, obviously in large part affecting Delta Airlines that has a hub there. FAA, of course, throttling down air traffic as they approach the end of the week up to 10%. The idea is to try to reduce the number of takeoffs and landings and airplanes in the sky that air traffic controllers have to monitor. The system can only have so many airplanes in the sky with the number of controllers who are there. And a lot of these controllers are taking second jobs or have actually retired because they've not received a full paycheck in weeks. We heard from some of those air traffic controllers today, meeting with their union, talking about how difficult this time has been when they have to worry about a paycheck, at the same time work some of the most stressful jobs you can imagine.
It's now a dinner time conversation with my kids on prioritizing bills. Yesterday, my kids asked me how long we could stay in our house. Having to answer that question was heartbreaking. But it's not just us that's dealing with that. That stress, that uncertainty, that fear is being felt among thousands of air traffic control families across the nation.
So about 1,500 flights canceled today, more expected tomorrow and the duration of the week. Even as, of course, there could be an end in sight to this government shutdown, it will take a long time, according to the Transportation Department, to actually restore things to some semblance of normalcy. And that's with the holidays approaching. The reason for that is that air traffic control was already under tremendous strain, needing to fill 3,000 vacant positions before the shutdown happened. At the same time, airlines that have been canceling those flights say that it's not so easy just to resume these flights. This may be a gradual process, some flights being added to the schedule, particularly as we head into the holiday season. But all of that, of course, assumes that the federal government ends. And that is, of course, as you know, Andrew, no guarantee.
Yeah, and Patrick, I imagine if you're somebody with an upcoming flight, you are watching and tracking the developments on Capitol Hill rather closely. But as you point out, even if things do come to some resolution, it could take days, if not weeks, for things to get back to normal. What are airlines telling people with these upcoming flights to do?
Well, the first thing to know is that chances are your flight will actually not be canceled, that we really are talking about today a target of about 4% of flights being canceled. Again, that goes up to 10%, but to assume that your flight is going to take off and on time unless they reach out to you, unless the airline contacts you and says that there has been a change. Also, the airlines will offer you a mandatory refund if you would rather simply not fly and look to other modes of travel, or they will put you on a different flight that is taking off or landing. But the idea is to sort of keep your options there open, to have some flexibility. I'll also point out that it's not just these flight cancellations. We also saw a tremendous number of simply flight delays yesterday. 11,000 flight delays all over the country. A lot of these big airports, Newark especially, you could see airplanes lined up in some cases for a very long time just trying to get off the ground. The whole idea here is that the FAA is trying to limit how much air traffic control has to deal with to make sure that they're not overwhelmed at a time that they are not at full staffing capacity. Andrew.
All right, Scripps News investigative correspondent Patrick Terpstra for us from our DC newsroom. Patrick, thank you.